What if you could flesh out any idea into a full-length story in only a few minutes? It sounds impossible, but now that you understand universal story language, you really only need 15 steps before you can start your story. So the question is, what's the fastest way of filling in those 15 moments and phases? Well, it all comes down to 3 core elements. And in this lesson, we're going to cover what they are, how they relate to the other parts of your story, and how to build out from each one to quickly create a finished outline in as little as a few minutes. So, what are these mystical 3 core elements that are at the heart of your story? They're all terms we've already covered, and they each represent one segment of your story. The first one is the goal, which represents the external, the plot, and the journey. The second one is the need, which represents the internal, the theme, and the lesson. And the third one is the antag, which represents the antagonistic forces and obstacles your protag will face. And once you figure out one of these 3, you'll be miles ahead in fleshing out your story. We'll start with how to connect these 3 elements to one another. We know the goal is going to be the premise, or the big idea behind your story. If you have your goal, you can ask 2 questions to get your need and your antag. 1. What lesson will this journey best illuminate? And 2. What are the natural obstacles in trying to achieve this goal? The need is going to be the lesson your protag learns. If you have your need, you can ask 2 questions to get your goal and your antag. 1. What kind of journey will best illuminate this lesson? And 2. What kind of obstacle can only be overcome after learning this lesson? Finally, the antag is the obstacle your hero faces, which to clarify, can also be antagonistic forces as well. If you have your antag, you can ask 2 questions to get your goal and need. 1. What kind of journey best showcases the overcoming of this obstacle? And 2. What lesson must be learned before overcoming this obstacle? So, we now have a way to link these 3 elements together. You can picture them at the core of your story, and every other part is connected to at least one of these 3. So you'll want to figure out your goal, your need, or your antag, then connect them together, and then branch out to the other parts to fill out your story. Here's how to do that branching. We'll start with the goal. You can use your goal to find your want by asking what intangible desire this goal represents. Also, if you have a goal, you can then fill in your story climax, since that is the moment your protag will achieve their goal. You can also now fill in the catalyst, since that will be an event that implies the story climax. You've now got the start and end of your journey. So next, ask what type of world would best show off this journey. You now have your new situation. Ask what entering this new situation may look like, and you have your outer gateway. Next, imagine the worst thing that could happen, and that is your moment of peril. After that, ask what a big step towards the goal would look like, and that will be your midpoint. From there, think about what success and failure look like in the new situation, and you'll have your uphill climb and downhill fall. Think about what your protag will need to learn in this new situation, and you have your testing phase. Think about what they'll need to prepare to finally achieve their goal, and you'll have your final plan. And think about where they'll be after the worst thing happens to them, and you have your rock bottom. Ask what type of dangers this new situation may hold, and you'll have your hesitation. And finally, think about what needs to be set up for the story to work, and what happens after your protag achieves their goal to find your setup and aftermath. Next, the need will connect you to your flaw, since it is the opposite quality. You will also unlock your epiphany, since you know it will be the moment your protag figures out their need. This will also unlock your inner gateway, since that is the moment where the epiphany takes place. Then, you can ask what kind of problems your protag will need their need to overcome, and you can use those throughout your downhill fall. Then, you can bolster your story climax by ensuring your protag uses their need to achieve their goal. Finally, you can flesh out the setup by sprinkling in your protag's flaw, and flesh out the aftermath by reaffirming their need. And lastly, here's how to branch out from the antag. First, ask how to introduce your antag, and you'll find your moment of danger. Next, think of how your antag could cause the worst thing to happen to bolster your moment of peril. Think of ways your antag or antagonistic forces might prevent your protag from achieving the goal, and sprinkle those through the downhill fall and final plan. And finally, ask exactly how your antag stands in the way of your protag achieving their goal, and you'll find the last key to unlocking your story climax. This is obviously a super fast run through of this process. And because your story will be unique, there is no one way to do this. However, this should at least help you understand how to fill in all these boxes and how to flesh out an idea into a story using the concepts we've covered in this course. Everything in your story should be related. And if you can nail the 3 core elements, you will have a strong center that connects everything else together. And now that you know how to build out from the core, we're going to spend the next few lessons talking about how to get your idea back down to that core. That way, no matter where you're starting from, you can quickly uncover the 3 core elements and build out your story in a connected way. But if you want to see this process in action, the extended version of this lesson will take an idea and flesh it out into a complete story, so you can see exactly how this process can work for you and help you outline your story efficiently and effectively. We'll see you there.